JDS MP Prajwal Revanna being found guilty of rape in 14 months of the trial. We'll get you more details on that, viewers. But first, the top story that we're tracking for you. UPA government's Saffron terror theory has gotten busted after all 7 accused acquitted by the NIA Sessions Court in Malegaon blast case. The court declared that the prosecution had failed to establish its case beyond reasonable doubt, closing one of India's longest-running terror cases. Now, Mahmood Mujawar, former ATS officer, claims that he was punished by Parambir Singh for refusing to follow Saffron terror script in the Malegaon blast case. He alleges that Parambir Singh asked him to fabricate evidence and arrest Mohan Bhagwat, the Sarsang Chalak of the RSS. But he had refused to do so, which led to his suspension. Mujawar also goes on to accuse Parambir Singh of eliminating the witnesses and accused individuals, including Karl Sangra and Sandeep Dange. He claims to have proof of these allegations as well. There are multiple reactions that have come in on that story.
कोई धर्म के आधार पे आतंकवाद नहीं होता है, ना हिंदू आतंकवाद होता है, ना इस्लामिक आतंकवाद होता है। हर धर्म प्रेम, सद्भाव, सत्य और अहिंसा का रूप है।
ये आतंकवाद का धर्म नहीं होता, वो तमाम कांग्रेसी नेता कहते हैं जब आतंकवादी हमला होता है ताकि वो अपने वोट बैंक को साध सके और तुष्टीकरण की राजनीति को आगे बढ़ा सके। कहते हैं आतंकवाद का धर्म तो नहीं होता है, कहना ही है तो आप कहो हिंदू आतंकी या सनातन आतंकी। वाह, आतंकवाद का धर्म नहीं होता, मगर हिंदू आतंकी और सनातन आतंकी कहो, कहना ही है।
And in fact, Maharashtra Chief Minister Devendra Fadnavis has also criticized the Congress party, asserting that the Saffron term was a politically motivated narrative. Listen in.
आपको वो समय पता होगा कि जिस समय पूरी दुनिया में बहुत बड़े पैमाने पर आतंकवादी घटनाएं हो रही थी और एक प्रकार से इस्लामिक आतंकवाद ये दुनिया में चर्चा का विषय था, और उसके चलते हमको जो वोट देने वाले लोग हैं इनमें गुस्सा निर्माण न हो या उनको ये लगे कि हम बैलेंस करते हैं, इसलिए ये हिंदू आतंकवाद की पूरी थियरी तैयार की गई, लोगों को अरेस्ट किया गया।
पूजनीय मोहन भागवत जी in the matter, and that is a known conspiracy. And yesterday the conspiracy has been exposed by the court. Many people are speaking, and I think many more people will speak, because this was the worst kind of conspiracy heads by the Congress to defame RSS. Today it has stand exposed, and many more exposure will come, I am sure, because the entire plan was to defame RSS, defame the Hindu religion, defame the Hindu society.
And in fact, we are being joined by a guest on the broadcast. We have Sanjeev Unyal, advocate from Supreme Court, also joining us. Mr. Unyal, thank you so much for joining us. And, you know, we've seen right after the Malegaon verdict, first what the court has observed really exposed that how there was this conspiracy to implicate an army officer, to implicate a Sadhvi. And there was this Saffron terror narrative that was being manufactured. And today, the former ATS has made a very, very big claim that the target was not just these people, and of course, Hindu Dharma, Sanat Dharma was the target. And one of the people who they wanted to target was the RSS Sarsang Chalak and also Yogi Adityanath, who was an upcoming politician back then.
What happened yesterday was very historical. After 17 years of continuous struggle by the Hindus, 7 Hindus, and in my 30 years of career in criminal jurisprudence, I have never seen all the convicted persons has been acquitted by the Honorable Court of NIA Special Court. NIA Special Court is a different sort of court. Their evidences, cross-examinations, 323 evidences, witnesses has taken place in the witness box, And after that, all 7 has been acquitted, surprisingly. And the verdict given by the court has been totally correlated why what happened today, what you were saying right now. That yesterday in judgments also I was going through that FIR comes under, as far as BNS is concerned, previously it was in IPC 154.4. FIR comes. The ingredients of FIR presently in BNS 173 section, it implicates certain ingredients. What are the ingredients? Who is the person against whom you are lodging an FIR? What is the material you have found? On what weapons, equipments, materials you have been used? Moreover, the height of the conspiracy was that the bike of Sadhvi Ritambra was not matching. The engine number, the chassis number, the registration number entirely different. So it is, I think it's very painful. Yes, you are doing a conspiracy, and that has been governed, that has been conspirated by the top officials of that one of the biggest country of the all list. As far as history is concerned, Congress is the biggest country, biggest party, political party. And all the top political leaders, Chidambaram, Shinde, Sonia Gandhi, they were involved in it. And the FIR, I have told you, and moreover, the forensic reports has been the mixture of lot of fabricated, concocted, vexatious evidences. So it was height. Now the expose of Hindu terrorism has been done by the Honorable NIA Court. So that is their pain.
Yes,
you
sir.
have not made a culprit to BJP, to RSS, but 100 crores Hindus. This is very shameful on the part of Congress.
Right, sir. Mr. Uniyal, thank you so much for joining us on Republic TV with your reaction and what your stand on this matter. Viewers, now we shift our focus to Trump's tariff tactics. US President Donald Trump has stirred yet another storm as he signed an executive order that set new tariffs on a wide swath of US trading partners. Now, the White House announced that these high duties would go into effect on the August 7th of August, which will mark the next test for the global economy and the steadiness of the American alliances. In fact, we are talking about India in particular in this story, what we're getting to you, how he's continuing to, in fact, target India. 25% for India, much higher for Canada and Brazil, of course. Meanwhile, you also have Rubio, US State Secretary, making big claims that Russia-India oil deal is a point of irritation. We told you that yesterday. That's really frustrating for Donald Trump when they see the trade ties between Russia and India, viewers. Now, the Indian government has expressed concerns about the impact on its economy, trade relations, talking about, viewers, the self-interest that is on priority of the government of India. That has been made clear by Piyush Goyal as well. And our sources tell us that there's not much deep effects on the economy as far as Trump's tariffs are concerned. And in the latest, we also have a reaction from the Ministry of External Affairs.
हम अपने राष्ट्रीय हितों को सुरक्षित करने और आगे बढ़ाने के लिए सभी आवश्यक कदम उठाएंगे। मात्र एक दशक से भी कम समय में भारत फ्रैजाइल 5 अर्थव्यवस्थाओं में से निकलकर दुनिया की सबसे तेजी से बढ़ती प्रमुख अर्थव्यवस्था बन गया है। हम अपने रिफॉर्म्स और अपने किसानों, एमएसएमई और उद्यमियों की कड़ी मेहनत के बल पर 11वीं सबसे बड़ी अर्थव्यवस्था से शीर्ष 5 अर्थव्यवस्थाओं में से एक बन गए हैं। यह भी अपेक्षित है कि हम कुछ ही वर्षों में तीसरी सबसे बड़ी अर्थव्यवस्था बन जाएंगे। आज अंतर्राष्ट्रीय संस्थाएं और अर्थशास्त्री भारत को वैश्विक अर्थव्यवस्था में एक ब्राइट स्पॉट के रूप में देखते हैं। भारत वैश्विक विकास में लगभग 16% का योगदान दे रहा है।
All right, we have Ved Jain, who's a market expert, joining us on the broadcast. Mr. Jain, how do you see what Trump is doing? If I would just straight away ask you, because he has called Russia, India dead economies. And then he also, of course, goes on to levy further tariffs, bigger tariffs on some other countries like Canada as well. India maintains right now that it is not going to be affected much, and India will protect its own self-interests, its own farmers first. How do you see all this?
I believe these are the part of the some pressure tactics being used to on the ongoing negotiation. See, the issue is that India and US are engaged for the last 2 months on the trade talks, and discussions are moving, I think, quite positively. There are some issues on which India can't compromise, particularly agriculture produce, which US is pushing India to allow import at a concessional tariff and duty, which India is not in a position, looking to the fact that India is predominantly an agriculture farmers, their interest has to be taken care of. We had a long agitation of more than 2 years way back in 1920-21 on that issue. So these are a larger issue. And what Mr. Donald Trump is saying, you would see that in the last 1 month, left and right, he has been making statements one after the other. And on he said Liberation Day, on that day he made a major announcement, putting a very hefty tariff on different countries. And then he went back and he said, we are postponing it till particular day. Then he further extended the day. Then he had pressurized Japan, EU, even UK, though they have entered into some agreement with the EU now and UK also. But I believe the way Indian discussions are going on, this is a passing phase, and probably the things will settle down and some way middle path will be worked out. And whatever he has said and he has been saying, not only on this issue and other issues, we should not take it that seriously. But Indian economy, as the Honorable Commerce Minister was saying in the Parliament, it's quite reasonably strong. We are I think, one of the fastest growing economy in the world. Even the growth rate is much better as compared to China. So there is no reason to worry about it. And this is only a temporary phase, I will say transitional phase, and things will pass it on. And you see, as India has to see its overall interest, India cannot be looking into what India-US relation is. Our relation with Russia goes long time back since independence. And that country has supported us like anything in difficult times. So we can't grow that relationship, that friendship that we enjoy with Russia. And at the same time, economic interest also does not allow us to that we should not do trade with Russia. And more, I see more. The Europe is buying the energy from the Russia even as of today. So now whatever the petroleum product we are buying, and those are being exported to the Europe only. That's a issue. You can't say that Europe is not buying that product also. So I think the whole purpose of Mr. Donald Trump making such type of statement, I believe, some of the statements are, of course, not in good taste. The word which he has used, the debt economy or something like this. Nobody can say today Indian economy, debt economy, we're the fastest growing economy. Where our economy is debt economy? That's a larger issue. But as I said, Donald Trump is in the habit of making such statements, so should not get carried away by the word which he is using.
Absolutely. Of course, India stands unfazed right now. Thank you so much, Mr. Jain, for joining us on Republic TV with your thoughts on that, viewers. Now, shift our focus to other stories that we have been tracking for you. This is a significant breakthrough in the mass burial investigation that's going on in Karnataka's Dharmasthala. Partial skeletal remains have been found at site number 6 during the exhumation process, marking the first site to yield such evidence in case currently under investigation. And according to police sources, the skeletal remains are most likely that of a male. The skeletal remains, learned to be that of a man, have been found at the 6th site.
ಅದನ್ನು ನಾವು ವಾಚ್ ಮಾಡ್ತಾ ಇದ್ದೇವೆ. ಅದರಿಂದ ಏನಾದರೂ ಕೂಡ ಸಮಾಜದಲ್ಲಿ ಒಂದಿಷ್ಟು ಭಾವನೆಗಳು ಸೃಷ್ಟಿಯಾಗೋದಾದ್ರೆ ಅದನ್ನ ನಿಲ್ಲಿಸೋದಕ್ಕೆ ಪ್ರಯತ್ನ ಮಾಡ್ತೀವಿ. ಯಾಕಂದ್ರೆ ಅದು ಈಗ ನಮ್ಮಲ್ಲಿ ತಮಗೆ ಗೊತ್ತಲ್ಲ, ಈ ಹೇಟ್ ಸ್ಪೀಚ್ ಮಾಡುವಾಗ ಕಾನೂನು ಮಾಡಿದ್ದೇವೆ, ಅದಕ್ಕೆ ಕ್ರಮ ತಗೊಳ್ತಾ ಇದ್ದೇವೆ ಅಂತೇಳಿ ಅದನ್ನು ನಾವು ವಾಚ್ ಮಾಡ್ತಾ ಇದ್ದೇವೆ. ಅದರಿಂದ ಏನಾದರೂ ಕೂಡ ಸಮಾಜದಲ್ಲಿ ಒಂದಿಷ್ಟು ಭಾವನೆಗಳು ಸೃಷ್ಟಿಯಾಗೋದಾದ್ರೆ ಅದನ್ನ ನಿಲ್ಲಿಸೋದಕ್ಕೆ ಪ್ರಯತ್ನ ಮಾಡ್ತೀವಿ. ಯಾಕಂದ್ರೆ ಅದು ಈಗ ನಮ್ಮಲ್ಲಿ ತಮಗೆ ಗೊತ್ತಲ್ಲ, ಈ ಹೇಟ್ ಸ್ಪೀಚ್ ಮಾಡುವಾಗ ಕಾನೂನು ಮಾಡಿದ್ದೇವೆ, ಅದಕ್ಕೆ ಕ್ರಮ ತಗೊಳ್ತಾ ಇದ್ದೇವೆ ಅಂತೇಳಿ.
And Rahul Gandhi has now promised annihilation of Election Commission of India. He reiterated the fact that he possesses open and shut proof against the Election Commission and is involved, that it's involved in vote theft. And he also warned the ECI, saying that he will not spare anyone over there. Meanwhile, Kiren Rijiju, the Parliamentary Affairs Minister, has also hit back viewers. This is not the first time. Remember, Rahul Gandhi is threatening a constitutional organization. He says this is a huge conspiracy to weaken our democracy. And remember, such rants come in, such allegations come in each and every time there is an election that is approaching. Here's more.
हमारे पास ओपन एंड शट प्रूफ है कि इलेक्शन कमीशन वोट चोरी में इन्वॉल्व है और मैं लाइटली नहीं बोल रहा हूं, मैं 100% प्रूफ के साथ बोल रहा हूं, ठीक है। और आप सबको पता लग जाएगा, जैसे ही हमने ये रिलीज किया पूरे देश को पता लग जाएगा कि इलेक्शन कमीशन वोटर चोरी करा रहा है। किसके लिए करा रहा है, किसके लिए करा रहा है? बीजेपी के लिए करा रहा है। ओपन एंड शट है, नो क्वेश्चन।
राहुल गांधी जी ने देश का खिलाफ जो बार बार बयान दे रहे हैं, ये सिर्फ सरकारी नहीं, विपक्ष के कई सदस्यों ने भी कहा है कि ये ठीक नहीं है। राहुल गांधी जिस तरीके से भारत विरोधी भाषा बोलते हैं, उसका विरोध ऑपोजिशन पार्टी भी कर रहे हैं। ऑपोजिशन पार्टी के कई सीनियर सदस्य ने भी कहा है कि भारत के इकोनॉमी, भारत का छवि को इस तरीके से दबा के कोई बात नहीं कर सकता है। भारत सबसे तेजी से आगे बढ़ने वाला अर्थव्यवस्था बन के आज खड़ा है। फिर भारत का छवि को धूमिल करने के लिए जो बात बोल रहा है, इसको मैं ही नहीं, सरकारी नहीं, ऑपोजिशन पार्टी के भी जो प्रमुख लोग हैं, सब इसको खंडन कर रहे हैं। इसलिए राहुल गांधी जी को समझ में आना चाहिए कि अभी वो छोटा बच्चा नहीं है। देश का मान सम्मान, देश का छवि कायम रहे, ये जिम्मेदारी हर हिंदुस्तानी को होना चाहिए। इतना तो समझ नेता प्रतिपक्ष को होना जरूरी है।
Former President and Rajya Sabha LOP Malegaon on behalf of all opposition parties wrote to the Rajya Sabha's Deputy Chairperson expressing concerns over the presence of CISF personnel in the House. Now, Jairam Ramesh shared Kharge's letter on social media insinuating a takeover of the chamber by CISF personnel. Now, Union Minister of Parliamentary Affairs Kiren Rijiju defended the deployment of the personnel, saying that it was done at the request of parliamentarians to increase security.
एमपीज को बोलने के लिए कोई रोक नहीं सकते हैं, लेकिन एक एमपी दूसरे एमपी को जाकर के रोक नहीं सकते हैं। सब एमपीज का अपना अपना राइट होते हैं, तो उसी के तहत में काम करें। और एमपीज को कोई फिजिकली, जब तक वो ऐसा गलत व्यवहार ना करे, किसी एमपी को कोई मार्शल, कोई हमारा सिक्योरिटी के लोग एमपी को नहीं पकड़ेंगे। ये तो सब जानता है, उनका प्रिविलेज है। हम इसका जानकारी पूरा लेंगे, लेकिन जितना मुझे मालूम है, वो राज्यसभा सेक्रेटरीट ने बताया कि कुछ एमपीज बहुत ही एग्रेसिवली उछल कूद करके बहुत आगे आ गए, तो उसको रोकने के लिए कुछ व्यवस्था किया है। इतना ही बताया। एमपी को बोलने से रोकने के लिए कुछ किया नहीं है और ना कर सकता है।
Former JDS MP Revanna has been now convicted by the special court in a rape case filed against him by his domestic help in Karnataka. Remember, the verdict has been delivered after 14 months. After 14 months, the case was registered. He was accused of raping the complainant and recording the act on video. The court is scheduled to pronounce the quantum of punishment tomorrow. Revanna was seen visibly emotional in court. He broke down and was seen crying as he left the courtroom after the verdict.
Yes, Honorable MP MLA Special Court convicted ex-MP Prajwal Revanna. Here in this case, we are examining 26 witnesses on behalf of the prosecution, though I was cited more than 100 witnesses, and we have got marked 180 documents in favor of the prosecution. Defense also got marked 2 documents, D1 and D2. That's all. And main evidence is of the victim lady. That is very, very much convincing one. Hence, I think much importance was naturally goes to the evidence. I think this is one of the recent cases. Very fast trial has been taken consideration and disposed. 38 adjournments, including argument dates.
And that's all we could pack in this edition of 6 Stories at 6. We'll be right back with more breaking news.
QS&THE, the world's foremost university rankings organizations, have ranked Amity amongst the top 3% universities globally, making it among the very few Indian universities to be included in both rankings. Yet another top ranking for Amity University.
Sarah, this is your space, play it your way.
भारत की अपनी दुकान इंडिया सोना, अपने देश का सामान इंडिया सोना, इंडिया सोना, इंडिया सोना।
इसको घर पे लगाओगे तो शादी का तो पता नहीं, पर घर पक्का नहीं टूटेगा।
रुंगटा नहीं तो घर स्ट्रॉन्ग नहीं। रुंगटा स्टील TMT बार एकदम सॉलिड।
पहाड़ों में एक हाइकिंग स्टिक भी बन सकती है।
In the world of naval warfare, visibility is a weakness. The ships that dominate aren't the ones making headlines with firepower alone. They're the ones that vanish into the mist, detect threats before radar even notices them, and strike without warning. India's INS Himgiri is built exactly for that kind of war. Launched under Project 17A, Himgiri is India's latest stealth frigate, part of a class that blends cutting-edge combat capability with advanced low observability design. It's the second in a line that began with INS Nilgiri, and together, these vessels form the backbone of a new naval doctrine, one that isn't just about presence, but precision. From the outside, Himgiri looks sleek, 149 meters of angular surfaces, built with radar-absorbing materials and contours meant to scatter enemy signals. But beneath the skin, it's a floating data center armed to the teeth. The ship integrates an indigenous combat management system, multiple sensor arrays, and a 3D surveillance radar that together form an intelligence net around it. Any threat in air, on sea, or underwater gets detected and tracked long before it comes into range. And when something does come into range, Himgiri doesn't hesitate. Its Barak 8 missile system, co-developed with Israel, is designed to knock out incoming aircraft or anti-ship missiles at long distances. The system is already combat tested and known for its agility and high kill probability. For threats that manage to sneak close, it has a rapid-fire close-in weapon.
Bharat 1 Minute brought to you by Canara Bank. Together we can.
The Election Commission has announced schedule for the elections of the next Vice President. According to the released schedule, the last date for nominations, 21st of August. The date of polling, 9th of September. The results of the elections will be announced on the polling day itself. Mallikarjun Kharge wrote to the Deputy Chairman of the Rajya Sabha raising concerns about the presence of CISF personnel in Rajya Sabha. Union Minister of Parliamentary Affairs Kiran Rijiju said that it was Parliament members' demand to increase security and therefore the CISF was deployed.
CISF का व्यवस्था पार्लियामेंट का सिक्योरिटी के लिए बनाया हुआ है। वो तो पार्लियामेंट मेंबर्स खुद का डिमांड था कि पार्लियामेंट का सिक्योरिटी अच्छा होना चाहिए, अच्छा पुख्ता होना चाहिए। इसका मतलब ये नहीं है कि एमपीज को बोलने का आज़ादी नहीं, ऐसा नहीं है।
Bharat 1 Minute brought to you by Canara Bank. Together we can.
In the India Today Best Universities Survey, India's #1 ranked universities in various streams are JNU Delhi, Amity University, AIMS Delhi, IIT Delhi, and National Law School Bengaluru.
Sarah, this is your space, play it your way.
हर पल मनाओ केसरी त्योहार। विमल, बोलो जुबान केसरी।
थोड़े में ज्यादा स्वाद, यही तो है इसकी खास बात। वाओ मामा, क्या स्वाद है। अरे मेरे राजा, सबका राजा और मसाला।
I think it's disgusting what they're doing. I think it's disgusting. This is Biden's war. It's not my war. But I said if I get in, I'll try and get the thing stopped. But I think what Russia's doing is very sad. A lot of Russians are dying. You have a lot of Russians. More Russians are dying. But Russians are dying. Ukrainians are dying. You know, the United States isn't really involved in that war. It shouldn't be. And by the way, I made a deal with NATO where NATO pays us for everything that we send. We send them ammunition, missiles, etc. And we're not paying anything for that war. But I will tell you this, it should be stopped. It's a disgrace. And the ones that are dying are they're losing 7,000 now. It was 5,000. They're losing now 7,000 soldiers a week, Ukrainian soldiers and Russian soldiers. And they're also losing people now in the towns and cities because Putin's hitting them with rockets. No, I think it's disgraceful. Yeah, we're going to put sanctions. I don't know that sanctions bother him. You know, they know about sanctions. I know better than anybody about sanctions and tariffs and everything else. I don't know if that has any effect, but we're going to do it. Europe is extremely upset. But this is a war that should have never happened. This is a war that wouldn't have happened if I were president. And this is Biden's war. This was a stupid war to get into. Should have never gotten into this war.
Representative Marjorie Taylor Greene has said that what is occurring there is a genocide. Do you agree?
Oh, it's terrible what's occurring there, yeah. It's a terrible thing. People are very hungry. You know, the United States gave $60 million for food. And it's a shame because nobody, you know, I don't see the results of it. And we gave it to people that in theory are watching over it fairly closely. We wanted Israel to watch over it. Part of the problem is Hamas is taking the money and they're taking the food.
All right, viewers, we have some more breaking news lined up for you as we start this bulletin of live and breaking. A 1,036-page court order copy in the Malegaon blast case has been accessed by Republic TV. Order questioning Maharashtra ATS role has been accessed by Republic TV. The court said that mere suspicion is not proof of legality. Fabricated evidence was furbished against Lieutenant Colonel Prasad Srikant Purohit. So there are many big observations that have been made by the court, by the NIA Sessions Court yesterday, and the order copy has been accessed. The copy of the verdict, the order, has been accessed by Republic TV. It's a 1,036-page court order, and it clearly mentions how there was fabricated evidence. We have my colleague Shambhavi joining us live on the broadcast from the Republic newsroom. Shambhavi, tell us more. What are we picking up as far as this order is concerned? There is mention of fabricated evidence as well.
Yes, a lot of evidences have been mentioned, including the procurement of the RDX, which was used for the bomb, the planting of the bomb, the detonation, DNA samples, fingerprints. It also included a lot of call recordings, voice recordings. So these are all the evidence which have been considered while this trial was going on. And this trial went on to be precise for 16 years, 6 months and 11 days. And after that, all the 7 accused have now been acquitted. Apart from the evidence, the major sections from IPC, UAPA and the Explosive Substances Act has also been mentioned.
Absolutely, of course, viewers. This is a big court verdict that had come in yesterday, and very importantly, Shambhavi, that there was there's mention of Lieutenant Colonel Purohit, how fabricated evidence was furbished against him, and also how that just having suspicions, is not a legal proof, and this, of course, gives more, ammunition to the fact that this was a conspiracy to malign an army man, to malign Hindutva and the leaders, the faces of Sanatan Dharma in the country.
Definitely, and in the evidences which were considered while actually giving the final order, there's also mention of Abhinav Bharat, how Abhinav Bharat was a part and the alleged conspiracy that everybody was claiming that this was an entire conspiracy, and Abhinav Bharat played a huge role. There were fabricated voice recordings as well which were considered. So this was a huge conspiracy.
Absolutely, of course, viewers. This is the big breaking news we have right now. Republic TV has accessed that order, 1,036-page order, and it says that there is that a mere suspicion is not legal proof. Fabricated evidence against Lieutenant Colonel Purohit has been furbished, and that's the breaking news we have. Remember, viewers, let me just revisit the case for you, or what happened yesterday, rather. The special court had acquitted all 7 accused in this case, saying that strong suspicion cannot be enough to punish somebody. And in fact, during when the verdict was been delivered by Special Judge A.K. Lahoti, he said that while it was proven that a bomb blast did take place, the prosecution failed to provide reliable evidence to prove that the 7 accused were behind it. Shambhavi, even we have to remember what the court had said on that bike, that RDX carrying a bike, which the court had clearly mentioned yesterday, that there's no proof that the bike that was produced, that was found out to be belonging to her, was used indeed in the crime, or that even that bike had RDX.
Yes, actually, it's also mentioned that how the particles of RDX which were actually deemed to be collected from the bike were contaminated, and it was very difficult. It was not enough to prove conspiracy, and it just pointed towards inconclusive reports.
Yes, viewers, that's the breaking news we have right now. 1,036-page court order in Malegaon case accessed, and viewers, this is the big breaking news we have. Remember, there are multiple, revelations that are being made by a former ATS officer also about the conspiracy, about how there was coercion taking place by the ATS back then to, in fact, take names and also implicate figures as high level as the RSS Sangchalak or even Yogi Adityanath, all faces of course, Sanatan Dharma, Hindutva. Of course, that's very important, and it's a case in point. It sets a very important example, Shambhavi, isn't it? That just on the basis of just suspicion, one cannot be held guilty of a crime or punished. But the fact remains that these people, the accused, had spent years in jail on the basis of mere suspicion. And for 17 long years, this ordeal of this case continued.
Definitely, and they went through a lot. They were tortured. If we actually go back to understand what even one of the accused have mentioned about being tortured. She mentioned that she was beaten with a belt, very thick belt and sticks, and once when her body was swollen, when her arms were swollen, they used to bring water with salt, warm water with salt, and dip her hands into it so that it becomes soft again, so that they can beat her. And now the court has very clearly said that these are the conspiracy, just theories without facts. They don't have any legal backing on it, so they were not enough, and now all 7 of them are acquitted.
Right, Shami, stay on with her. We also have Gopi, who has been tracking this case since yesterday from the Sessions Court. Gopi, tell us more about what the court said, what has been found out in this 1,036-page long court order.
Well, in fact, Rakshita, see, we have things in black and white today. Well, yesterday, when the order was pronounced at the court, we saw what kind of mentions were there in that particular order, beginning from the differences of the charge sheets which were filed by the Maharashtra ATS as well as NIA. That is what we are also seeing in this court order, while also various other things wherein prosecution failed to provide the exact proof of RDX, which my colleague was mentioning just a short while back, that who placed that RDX, whether there was any RDX present. This was also mentioned in that very order, wherein while we have the order with us today, they have also mentioned the same thing in order, that no RDX was found, which nullifies the role of Colonel Prasad Purohit as well as Major Ramesh Upadhyay. Since they were accused of procuring that from Jammu and getting that to Mumbai, and then planning whatever was planned. So one of the basic things which came out yesterday was this. Second was the ownership of LML, which was also questioned, and it wasn't proved that this particular bike belonged to Sadhvi Pragya Singh Thakur. While we were also mentioning about the ATS and senior officials of ATS torturing various accused, which includes the two prime accused, Sadhvi Pragya Singh Thakur and former Lieutenant Colonel Purohit. They were tortured. Apart from that, we also happened to speak to the mayor, one of the other accused of Malegaon blast, Ramesh Upadhyay. He was also mentioning about the constant torture, which not just him as an individual had to go through, but the entire family was disturbed. They were getting death threats, they were getting death threat mails. So they have faced all this and much more. While this order reveals a lot, we have been seeing this since yesterday, that many things have been disapproved. On top of that, when you speak of this entire narrative, Congress narrative of Saffron terror, that has also been busted. It falls flat now, since we have been monitoring the developments which have been happening time and again post 2008. We have seen what has transpired, and this clearly shows, this order in fact clearly shows that whatever is mentioned in this order, all the 7 accused who are now acquitted had to go through a lot. Back to you, Rakshita.
Right, that is of course one of the key points that has been in fact mentioned. I'll just read out what I'm getting more as far as this order is concerned, Shambhavi and Gopi. The fact that religion has, terrorism has no religion has also been made very, very clear in the court proceedings. Not just that, no reliable cogent evidence has been found on record. So Gopi, the saddest part is, and the most disappointing part is that, this went on for years, this went on for 17 years. And no one has been held accountable. Now, this is the time when those behind this, whoever fabricated, because this is not a case that is now done, one has to find out who was orchestrating this.
Well, in fact, Rakshita, to begin with, we know that the then additional commissioner of Maharashtra ATS was Parambir Singh. When you talk about Parambir Singh, we know that time and again people have mentioned about Parambir Singh involved in this Malegaon blast case, wherein they have in fact accepted the fact that there were certain things, certain evidences which were manipulated and fabricated. While we saw yesterday itself, one of the former senior ATS officials was mentioning about how he was forced to arrest the RSS chief Mohan Bhagwat, and then later on he had to undergo suspension because he did not do so. So this is just one person coming out. In fact, in coming days, what we are getting to understand from our sources, there is a possibility that more such people, more such senior officials of ATS, the former, now who are the former ATS senior officials, might reveal more things in coming days. And this is a shocking piece of information wherein you have a senior official of ATS who is coming out and telling you that the additional commissioner, the former additional commissioner of ATS was in fact involved in spreading hatred in the form of, when he says that you need to arrest RSS chief Mohan Bhagwat. It clearly shows that it's a larger political conspiracy. It is not limited to the 7 accused, but it in fact is a larger political conspiracy. And yes, as we have been mentioning about this since yesterday, we have seen how Congress and UPA regime in fact have always promoted this phrase. They have brought in this narrative into the political discourse of Saffron terror. Time and again, they have proved that they have used that phrase as one of the political gimmicks. This is what we know as of yet, and this is what has emerged from the court order. Back to you.
In fact, the case of, the Maharashtra ATS is also under lens even more now. And the fact that there was no concrete evidence and there was just suspicion, anything else that we are picking up, because of course a very, very long order. But what else are you picking up, Shambhavi, as far as this court order is concerned?
Well, we can use 3 words: inconclusive, insufficient, unreliable. These are the 3 words that we can go. If I break down the court order for you and our audience, I'm going to break down. So first, we begin with the RDX and bomb. The court very clearly stated that in no way is the evidence sufficient to relate this back to Pragya Thakur, that she was the one who planted the bomb or even handed over the motorbike for this act to be executed. Next, if we go to the call detail records, the call details that the prosecution presented, the court said that they are unreliable. There's no voice expert, or just because they were meeting, they were on a call, that does not directly relate them with the conspiracy, that they were the ones who actually planted the entire blast or planted the bomb in the first place. Then if we go ahead with the voice samples, audio recordings, they did not have any backing, legal backing, that they were in fact the actual voice recordings. The court did not find them reliable enough. The court said they are insufficient to prove that they were the ones who actually carried on the entire thing. Then if we go to the witness testimonies, over more than 300 witnesses were testimonies were considered. The court said that a lot of them, of course, turned hostile, and their testimony was inconsistent. And if there were some testimonies, they were not backed by, again, any proof, any legal backing, any document, any material document that the court can consider as legal. It was all based on a huge conspiracy. If we again go ahead with the motorcycle ownership, as Pragya Thakur said that she sold the bike, the motorbike, years before, and the court said that there was absolutely no way that they can say that Pragya was the one who handed the bike over, especially for this bomb blast to be carried over. So if we consider all the evidences that were actually mentioned during the very, very, very long trial, and that the court has considered in taking this decision, we can say that none of the evidence was backed, was legally backed. It was unreliable, it was insufficient for the court, and the court rightly came on this decision to acquit all the accused.
Absolutely. In fact, there is a lot of mention about the there's mention about the forensic evidence also, how the procedure is also not followed as far as investigation is concerned. That is also being mentioned here. But, there is also a Malegaon witness who has mentioned about torture, the fear of torture being shown by Parambir Singh. That's the breaking news. There's another update that we're getting in right now. How Parambir had shown the fear. Gopi, there's a serious concern about the credibility, number one, credibility of the evidence. Then there is witness called Milind Joshi, who says, this is the other person, that ATS officer, former ATS officer is another one. Now this makes a mention, the order makes a mention of witness Joshi. Milind Joshi was threatened to name Yogi Adityanath and RSS leaders. And not just that, Parambir Singh has been named by the witness. And they say that there was a fear of torture, that he was threatening the witnesses by torture. All right, we have some more breaking news coming in. This is a different story we're tracking. There's a lookout circular issued against Anil Ambani. That's the breaking news. We have travel restrictions have been imposed against Anil Ambani. Breaking news coming in right now, first on Republic TV. And this is regarding the ED case against him. Remember, Anil Ambani has been summoned by the ED in a 17,000 crore loan fraud. And he has been summoned on the 5th of August in the loan fraud case involving Reliance Group of companies. And the latest we have is that the lookout circular has been issued against Anil Ambani. And that's what we have as breaking news right now. There's more trouble for Anil Ambani, and probe agency had already summoned him in the loan fraud case. And Shravan Sen, senior editor, joins us on the broadcast for more. Shravan, tell us more about this lookout notice and the case against Anil Ambani.
Well, in fact, the first confirmation now coming in, businessman Anil Ambani, against whom a lookout circular has been issued, which essentially means that there are travel restrictions that have essentially been opened. In fact, the Enforcement Directorate has basically made the move after an ECIR was basically registered against Anil Ambani. Remember, Anil Ambani's name also figures in the predicate offence, which is an FIR that was registered by the Central Bureau of Investigation. This comes at a time when multiple companies linked to Anil Ambani have been raided by the Enforcement Directorate. 35 locations where the searches have been carried out, 50 companies that have come under the scanner of the Enforcement Directorate. The basic charge that has been levelled against companies linked to Anil Ambani, they've allegedly received funds, loans from Yes Bank, and this was defrauded. Not just one tranche of loans that were allegedly received, but multiple tranches of loans that were received from banks like Canada and a few other loans that have basically come under the scanner. In fact, we are given to understand in terms of repayment of the loan, some part of the repayment of loan has actually happened through cash, some through companies which are non-functional, and because of which, remember, the Enforcement Directorate is now basically looking at that where exactly was the money essentially used, because the funds that were received as loans were diverted through shell companies. So finally, who's the ultimate beneficiary here is something that the Enforcement Directorate is looking at. The lookout circular has already been issued, which means there are travel restrictions that have been imposed against businessman Anil Ambani.
Right, Shravan, of course, that's the big breaking news. Republic TV getting viewers first on Republic TV. Lookout circular against Anil Ambani. The travel restrictions have been now put in place against the businessman, and of course, there's more trouble that is mounting for him ahead of the ED case. He has been summoned on the 5th of August. And any other links that have emerged, Shravan, as far as this case is concerned?
Well, in fact, for 3 days at a stretch, searches were basically carried out at multiple locations. And these locations are where Anil Ambani's companies are located. In fact, we are given to understand multiple digital evidence was gathered by the Enforcement Directorate. Now, remember, this is at a preliminary stage. There is already a response that has come in from Anil Ambani. In fact, stating the company has essentially stated that it does not have any impact as far as the financials of companies employees of Reliance. In fact, what they have essentially said is that these loans were taken at a period when Anil Ambani was not even part of the board, and they've basically deflected this entire decision on the board. Now that is something that has come under the investigation of the Enforcement Directorate. Not just the Enforcement Directorate. Remember, other financial institutions have actually stepped in. SEBI being one such institution that has also written to the Enforcement Directorate with regards to these very loans that were received, and there was a dramatic change in the financial transactions that have essentially taken place. And that is the reason why, remember, it has now come under the scanner. Anil Ambani so far hasn't made any appearance so far before the Enforcement Directorate. On 5th of August is when he has now been asked to appear before the Enforcement Directorate's headquarters here in the national capital. This after the FIR was registered against businessman Anil Ambani.
Right. Shravan Sen, thanks so much for joining us with those details coming in on that story, viewers. So that's the big news we are tracking for you right now. Travel restrictions imposed on Anil Ambani. He is barred from leaving India. And this is a lookout circular issued against Anil Ambani of Reliance Industries. And this is a financial irregularities case, allegations of financial irregularities in an organization called the Anil Ambani Group, of course. And this after the searches were also conducted, and he was summoned in the loan fraud case. All right, viewers, we shift our focus to the other stories that we are tracking from across the country. This is Bharat in a minute.
Bharat 1 Minute brought to you by Canara Bank. Together, we can.
The Election Commission has announced the schedule for the election of the next Vice President. According to the release schedule, the last date for nominations is 21st of August and the date of polling is 9th of September. The results of this election will be announced on the polling day itself. LOP of Rajya Sabha Malegaon Kharge writes to the Deputy Chairman of Rajya Sabha, raising concerns